Warning. This episode you're about to hear is the Beastmen Army Special. It was recorded in several parts and in more than one version. The Beastmen segment itself is merely a tribute to the one first recorded. Sadly, it's not a good special, like the High Elf special. But, you can't have an episode about something fun every time now, can you? Also, we know about Chris's track. Mix settings were messed up and not noticed until after. Warning. This episode you're about to hear is the Beastmen Army Special. This is your listening point of no return. The forests are dark and full of shadows.
Hello and welcome to episode 26 of The Old World Lives, a Warhammer Fantasy podcast. I'm Christopher and you're in for a beastly episode. And speaking of that, this episode is fueled by Kong Strong, the finest energy drink Lidl has to offer. And with me tonight, I have
Hello,
Niklas
everyone.
and Jimmy.
Hi.
And I suspect neither of these are fueled by Kong Strong, and that's the problem.
Yeah, that's why we don't have this manly flu voice. Chris is gone. It's part of Strong.
Probably. So, let's hope this is actually recording, because we have had problems lately with recordings that are basically censoring some of us, mainly Krell, and it's not us for this time, and that's odd, actually. It's outside powers are censoring him. So, let's have an update with Niklas. What have you been doing lately?
Hobby-wise, not that much fantasy. I've started reading the second Gothic Philosophy Omnibus. Started reading it a few weeks ago, and then I start picking it up again now. So I've really been enjoying that one. I'm on the first one, the second Omnibus, so Dragon Slayer. Everyone keeps telling me it's a really good book, so yeah, really enjoying it so far.
Nice. There's haven't been really a great way to get hold of hobby supplies for you either, right?
No, I haven't really been in that much of need of supplies, just motivation. Yeah, so I should have been painting halflings for this month's challenge, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I haven't done it yet.
I've heard that the April challenge was kind of fake news because it didn't really.
Yeah, no one I know has heard about it.
So, Jimmy, how did your April challenge go?
I never said I would do any April challenge. Yeah,
Right.
It
In the failed recording.
I was supposed to paint a lot of dudes last month, but I was brought down by a bad auction when I was almost winning another box of Medenheimer Siege Defenders and an Empire Battalion, all on sprues.
That was one hell of a lot, and
Yeah,
did
it
go
was.
for probably not worth, but
Oh yeah,
would have
sure
been
did.
expensive.
But yeah, I was sniped in the last second, so I was very, very, very out of energy after that one. So
Yeah, I was looking at it live. It's crazy. It skyrocketed at like the very last second. Though.
Yeah.
But we have to congratulate Krell for his new army, right?
Yeah. The bastard.
Yeah, but you have been doing other stuff. I know that, and probably people know that because you posted it. But
I've been remodeling the hammers on my Knights of the White Wolf. I don't like that they're carrying around logs to smash people with, because I want their hammers to be about the same size as the 2 Token Guard that I'm also gonna field. So I removed those hammers, used some brass rod, and replaced them. So they have slightly shorter hammers, and I also sculpted the grips on them. I have 15 ready now. I have a second command group, which I haven't posted any pictures of yet. And I'm also waiting for some answers from Jens, if he has a couple of extra knights to let me take care of, so to say.
Yeah, because you could just make a whole matter unit of Grandmasters. Because everyone seems to have a Grandmaster layer.
No. Everyone seems to have all Ulrich.
So for this summer, after the Battle Standard Bearer Challenge, because I'm going to present that now. It's the Battle Standard Bearer Challenge that is the next one, but we're going to talk about that in a bit. The next challenge after that will be our Ulrich paint.
Yes.
Because everyone has one, apparently. Some Didn't
I
Jens have
think he
2?
had. He got one before,
And I
then
think-
I acquired 2 more.
Yeah, and I think he even had a painted one for his army as well. So. Yeah, but it sounds good. It's nice to see the progress on the army, and those knights look so good.
Yeah, and they're so well sized with the horses, the older models, because the plastic knights, they have such long legs, so the horses feels more like ponies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also
I
the
know.
legs are just awkward.
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah.
stick out weirdly.
Yeah, and they have no. I don't remember the English name for
The
Stigbygel.
stirrups?
Stirrups, yes, thank you. Because plastic ones don't have any stirrups. All the metal ones do, and this does a
We
lot
all
for a
know-
model.
Yeah, and we all know that heavy cavalry without stirrups is a great idea
Yeah,
when you can't really brace for a lance thrust and anything.
it works for orcs riding boars, but they have a strong grip.
Maybe that's why they're
Yeah.
using hammers. Yeah, they look great though.
Thanks.
Incredible models. Like the entire Middenheim range is just amazing.
And I'm
Indeed.
looking forward to field them all. It's gonna be like 2 10-man units eventually. Might add some extra models so I can field them in 12 strong, or split them
Nice.
up.
So will you be using one of them as regular and one as inner circle or something?
Yes. Or one
Nice.
is regular and no, one is inner circle and 2 regulars. Because Middenheim army list can field several units.
Oh yeah, so you would have like small 5-man squads or something like that? Or
Yeah. I plan on. I'm gonna playtest them sometime soon. I think. So I get to learn how the army works. But I aim to use at least 8 of them as inner circle and fielding 2 smaller units with like only musicians to like flank charge enemy units and such.
yeah, that is a good idea. I've been
Yeah.
having playtested Micah for a while. I started using those kind of units, these smaller medium cavalry
Yeah.
to just cover the flanks of bigger units. Because like sometimes you don't need an entire 10-man heavy cavalry with 4
Exactly,
to deal with it.
and no need for standards everywhere either, because when they flee, that's gonna cost me 100 victory points.
Yeah, definitely a good idea.
But I also I was looking at the Empire army list because I will also use the Empire army list, and I'm very keen to use the what are they called, the Pistoliers. I have a bunch of those that I'm gonna build next and try to
Nice.
Middenheimify in some way or another. And since we all know that fast cav you mostly flee as a charge reaction, and as they only have leadership 7, and it's kind of hard to keep the general close, and they cannot have any musicians. I need all the help that I can get, and there's a fine little magic item in the Empire Army book. It's a power level 5 bound spell, which rallies all fleeing friendly units on the battlefield.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
It's like the Eagle's Call or whatever, the Bear Stands. I don't know. There's one in the
yeah,
nature lore that does the same thing.
yeah.
Nice. I gotta say though, the Middenheim magical list is fine. Like it's
Yeah,
so good.
It is.
So many
gonna
good
hit
items.
so hard. I mean that I forgot the name. There's a nice little cavalry hammer, which when you strike a wound on the enemy, he cannot strike back that turn.
Nice. Yeah, there's also that banner, the crazy banner that like
Yeah.
reduces the strength of all incoming attacks.
Yeah, of all incoming missile fire and magical attacks. That's so
good.
So yeah, it is.
Because not only like does it make them wound harder, but also, I mean, you get more armor save, which is great for a unit that they don't have shields, do they?
Nope, they don't.
So that's great. Yeah, it's gonna be nice. Then we're gonna have to cook up some Storm Chaos campaign or scenario or whatever to play sometime.
Big event, if anything. And when it happens, I will most likely field all my knights in one big unit led by
Nice.
Rain Volker himself, the Grandmaster of the Night White Wolf.
Something tells me we know someone that's working on demons enough for that to happen as well. To have something to face off against.
And I have, Chaos Knights should be easy to paint, right? and I have almost 20 now, and Orchaon. So we will be able to field a nice unit of the Swords of Chaos, if anything.
Nice.
Just need to find someone with a lot of Chaos Warriors and Marauders.
And force someone to make Flarekins,
Yes.
because they're so awesome.
I think Carl, my friend, is fielding them in his Hell Pit Abomination list.
Oh,
Ooh,
Yeah,
Cool.
because he can have Flarekin.
nice. Yeah, but we'll see what update you have on your project in the next episode.
Yeah.
I guess. We just need to find something to record next time.
Yes.
Let's see what that is. Maybe we just do like we did for the recent bonus and just bring on an Australian and see what happens. Yeah, I'm not really stalling or trying to change the subject because I've been painting loads.
Many models have been painted.
Many university essay things were done, and episode editing was done. So
Well,
it's been not that.
that is a valid excuse.
Yeah, they haven't really been able to adapt that much, because when you have to do certain assignments that you should do like in a group assignment where you should just sit and discuss and then talk about it at the end of the lesson and then write something up for it, and instead they have just changed all of those to basically assignments that we did when we started uni, which was basically read these 3 things and then write something about it and make sure you quote the literature for it. I just okay, and this is shit, but okay. We know that you are about have about as much as idea to what we're going to do right now as everyone else, but these assignments they're just filler. They're just a filler assignment. But we do have another Christopher in the podcast, and he's painted stuff.
And
he's
weird
angry
unit fillers. I'm gonna mention that. I'm gonna mention it. Christopher just recently built and painted a unit of Khemri skeleton bowman. In the middle, there's a unit filler. It's kind of cool, except it's on a 50mm monster base, so it doesn't fit in the unit.
So
they can't rank up.
There's been a good group chat lately.
It's got the really nice from the Age of Sigmar.
The objective thingy.
Yeah, one of the objective sets. I got the same thing as a base for my Rat Ogre. It's the large stone head, which is a really nice piece of kit, but it doesn't really work in that setting because it needs a too big a base, and it pushes some of the.
And we're not making fun of him. Okay, we are.
We're not making fun of him. We're just trying to making adapted so it actually works. And why is running archers 4 ranks deep?
It's a skeleton thing. I bet he's playing like 8th edition and every rank can shoot or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or he's playing the dreaded Scab Hammer game.
Well, can you shoot in 4 ranks?
Yeah.
I'm sure they can. I don't know.
They probably can. You probably don't even need facings anymore. You can just
exactly. It's
fire from anywhere of the base and just count as front facing. Because there's been discussions I've heard lately that games are better without facings. Even strategy games are better without facings.
Yeah, makes sense.
And I'm not really sure. Yeah, because it looks really, really real and imaginative, and you really feel it's drawing you in when your unit can charge sideways when they're on horseback, or a large block of infantry just walk sideways and it goes like a front charge.
He also painted. Christopher, he painted some rats. What are they called? They're called giant rats. With a handler, a minimum unit size of 6 giant rats and a handler. And then he also painted a unit of clan rats. The thing is, he's cheating because clan rats are 20 plus in size. When I took the picture, he added the giant rat from his previous unit in the back row.
Yeah, but you know that each base of giant rats counts as 2.
Yeah, I mean,
because
I don't-
it's two rats on each base.
I
so-
don't mind mixing out like adding a filler of giant rats in a unit. I mean, I do it myself because it does look cool. But he was just plain lazy here, and I love it. And he's so honest about it.
Yeah, but to be fair, we're only really glad that he's painting again.
Yeah.
which is why we're friendly joshing him, and not just.
Yes, we're only.
Yeah,
only
I really like
joking.
this game independent. I'm glad he got off the ground on that project because he was
Yeah.
back and forth whether he should start it, and now he has, and he's doing some great progress. Sending us pictures
Yeah.
all the time of stuff that he's going to paint as well.
Yes, and he's having a lot of fun with contrast paints.
Yeah.
Yep.
Again,
they're great
meaning
for
that
Skaven,
Chris will never play him.
but they're really great for Skaven, those paints.
Yeah.
And when this is recorded, there's 2 days left on Scale 75's version of Contrast Paints Kickstarter. So it won't really matter to anyone right now because this won't be released before it's ended. But I'm just mentioning it. They're doing it as well. Seem nice as well, but it's pretty much the same thing. So
yeah.
I need to say as well, another thing that's been taking a lot of my time is that damn owl that Chris linked to.
Yeah, we should link that on the Facebook page later. It's it's got what is it, like 3 kids now?
2.
Oh, that's it. They're really, really cute, those baby owls.
Yeah, it's an owl that lives in my hometown actually, in a mine, and it just hatched 2 baby owls, and it just sits in a box all day, and they have a webcam.
Yeah,
Updates
it
every
updates.
10 seconds.
Yeah, and it's even on during the nights, and you can see a sleeping owl. It just seriously, it's really relaxing to watch a sleeping owl.
You just
But
missed
just
out on a
every
great
now and then it
joke.
pops up.
Why didn't you do the Gimli thing? A mine, a mine.
Because it's not that kind of mine.
True.
So, should we talk a bit more about April's challenge? Because there were some nice posts. We got one that's, well, he's been diligent in posting, which is good because he was the one that suggested this challenge to us from the beginning. And it's Ted, and he's posted some really nice, classic-looking goblin spearmen.
Yeah,
they're looking great with their goblin green skin. Really
and
classic
goblin
color
green, and then the green rim on the movement tray, and green flocking, really black cloaks. So they look. That is a classic look. It's a bit updated because they're not goblin green bases, but I think it works better this way. It's not too green.
I mean, I do like goblin green bases on old Hammer models. These are like too new to do that thing on.
Yeah. Also, if you do it on, if you have that tone, skin tone, basically the same as the base, it looks a bit muddled. You should probably adjust the skin tone if you're gonna do goblin green bases on goblins.
They're looking really cool. There's a striking red that you used on the moons and the banner top, so they're looking neat. I actually kind of miss these goblins, but I won't use any myself.
Really good. He's also doing a wolf chariot for this month, I think.
Yeah, it's you don't see those night goblins that much. You usually see the skull pass ones.
Yeah,
these guys are a bit chunkier. Like their heads are bigger and they look more 3-dimensional since they're multi-part.
Yeah, but if there's anything you can't accuse those skull pass bulks, it's versatility and 3D look. Because nothing looks 3D in that except for maybe the troll.
Maybe.
And definitely not the Slayer character that's in that box.
I think the best model in that box is the pony cart.
Grudge pony!
Yeah, but I got two of those. One day I'm gonna do either a baggage train or a mine centerpiece or something, and you can use them for that.
Yeah.
It would be good for like War of the Beard if you have like an ambush with a small patrol of dwarves escorting ponies with carts, and then have elves massacring them like a dragon. Or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. I've got
Equally fair.
I actually have 2 of those as well. I've like separated one from the carriage. I might like link the carriages, maybe have another card in there, drag some artillery or something, and have both of the ponies drag them. Something cool.
I think we could probably look to the General's Compendium for some ideas, because there's scenarios similar to what we've been talking about and ideas. So that's good. Always good with ideas. There's someone else that did some Tomb King skeleton warriors with bows, and that's Andrew, and they are quite nice as well. They don't look as angry as Krell's. They look more professional.
Yeah,
regimented.
These guys trained with their bows while they were alive, because they knew they wanted to be bow skeletons and not combat skeletons when they died.
Yeah, it's a bad day when you know that you trained with a spear and shield for all of your life, and then you die, and someone just, oh sorry, all of the shield and spears are gone. You have to pick up this slightly bent stick and shoot arrows with it, and that's why Krell looks so pissed off. Because they are.
Oh yeah, those are the what are they called? Warlords of Ereworn models.
The Warlords of Nowhere.
Yeah, the name that I can never remember, but this time I magically remembered it.
It's Ereworn. It's Nowhere backwards.
Now I got that.
Isn't that one of the old GW game designers behind that?
Probably.
I think so, but I'm not sure. But there are some nice models coming out from a lot of lines these days. And should we do some more special mentions? I know that Rene has been posting some dwarves. He hasn't painted them, but he's posting them all over the place.
We need to talk.
But they're good.
We need to talk about Deathhead's halbardiers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent work by Kister.
Yeah. He's one of the guys that I rent the gaming basement with, so I'm gonna face these guys eventually with my own Empire Force. I'm looking
I can
forward
see
to
that
it.
they're photographed in that basement, right?
Yeah.
Because it looks like the mess of that basement in the background of the photo.
Yep, that mess is my place of the table. There's also an empty box of Pepsi Max Lime on my chair.
Yeah, but there are worse Pepsis for sure.
Yeah,
but I really liked it. It's nice that they took inspiration from the Uniforms of Herald book. And do you know if he's gonna do that with any other units? Or
not that I'm aware of, but we'll see. Maybe I'll goad him into something, or at least make him build a bigger unit. Because I see he made some command group models here, so they will not be a detachment. So I guess he'll build more eventually, hopefully.
Yeah, they're great. They add so much character to an army as well.
Yeah. That's why I wanted to know if he was going to do any more, because there are some really great units in Uniforms on Heraldry with a lot of character.
I would love to see like a Reich River Patrol unit.
Awesome. It looks so cool.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do one as a Mordheim Warband, if anything.
You should do that raiding. Is it like the raiding goblin from the General's Compendium? That's from the River Patrol scenario.
Oh yeah.
Just dressed up like a woman, trying to steal stuff while pretending to be a human lady.
Looking good.
Don't mind me. Don't mind my green skin and about 3.5 foot tall and obviously a goblin in a dress. So there was also from a guy named Chuck. He posted some really nice Thunderers, because they're old metal ones.
Glorious sculpts. It's the biggest regret of my non-gunpowder army.
Well, they're mostly the metal ones. There are some Sculpus ones as well, but the front rank is old metal ones. Yeah, and the standard bearer. But having that mix, it actually, and it works having those static the static Thunderers in the back, because the other ones have so much character in the front rank and just ooze that old charm of the old metal models. Any one of you have any special mention that you want to bring
I'm
up?
gonna mention a guy from who joined this challenge on Instagram, Andy.mavnav. He painted up 70 Dark Elf warriors in a week.
Damn, that's insane.
Yeah,
And they look so cool.
that's a mini unit in 8th edition, right?
Yeah, I think so. Minimum 40 guys.
Yeah, but those Aether plastics for Dark Elves are gorgeous, actually.
Yeah. They finally made elves with regular sized hands, and apparently it worked great.
They did them regular sized before 6th edition, actually. I've been looking at old Hammer high elves from 4th edition. It's like, these guys looks kind of great. Why did they stop making them? Oh, they made a plastic kit and they're bad. Because the metal models, they're gorgeous.
I think even the starter high elves look better than 6th edition high elves.
Yeah. I mean, and they're just monopose elves, but they look so great because they're really military.
Yeah. To be fair, it's only really the plastic kit elves from 6th edition that have those giant hands.
Yeah.
Because if you look at
the
metals for high elves that were released, they were
yeah.
normal sized. It's the metal one, the plastic ones, which is what went wrong.
What went wrong later on is in 8th edition when they released a new Koril model, because that model is horrible.
You mean baby hand braids, Koril?
Yeah.
And I'm obviously quoting what you said the other day when you said he was a baby hand Koril.
Yep. His braids looks like little children's arms hanging from his head.
Yeah. And that face is something only a mother can love.
Yeah. It's not a regal elf face. It looks like an old empire man.
Yeah. Or, not to get political here, but one of those people standing behind Trump when he has his daily rallies. Because they look kind of the same, semi-melting faces. So let's see if we actually alienated any listeners by stating that. If we have, I don't mind. So, Niklas, do you have any special mentions?
I was just very drawn to Krister's entry. Those that had really drew me. I love those guys. And yeah, I'm just glad that a lot of people are entering this, and a lot of people did a lot better than me and Jimmy, and you.
Yep,
exactly.
And all of us, basically. But even though we don't bring up every single entry here, we are looking at them. We're really loving that people are sending in. Because Ramon sent in 25 Slayers, so you can have 2 full units of 20. And then he made a command unit as well, so I just want to mention that. It's not like we don't look at them. There's been a lot going around this past weeks that we've been busy with, but we really liked seeing this, and we really appreciate you sending them in, and hopefully it will continue, because we're still running challenges this month, as people probably know, because this is recorded after the first. We're doing a terrain challenge, and what with terrain we basically mean anything that can be used as terrain,
or even a small castle.
Make a massive castle or a forest that can cover a table. Yeah, well, that's mandatory. You have to make one small castle this month. It doesn't matter the exact size. If it's like a 2 centimeter by 2 centimeter square castle, that's still a castle. Joking aside, it's there's a reason why we put a small.
Yeah.
If you don't want to make terrain or don't have anything to make, just paint another unit, basically, because we know that everyone don't really have the will or drive or energy or maybe the materials to make a piece of terrain. And if you're like Jimmy, you just have to throw money at the terrain and hope it appears. Yeah, you got some really good pieces of terrain. Yeah, but that's I'm making a fountain for my high elves. It's going to be in this similar size to my Shrine of Cain that I did for my Dark Elves. And that one is up on Instagram, that I know. So you'll have probably seen it. So it's going to be a similar size, but it's going to be a Calidor high elf team, so there will be dragons.
Nice.
Ooh.
And now that I mentioned it, I can put it in a cupboard and never look at it again, because That's how we roll.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I'll make yet. Probably something dwarven. I got some bits lying around. I got like a hard time finding materials, so I'm gonna have to build something from stuff that I have lying around at home.
Yeah, don't have to be anything massive. Just mention it for everyone. If you want to build terrain, don't build anything massive if you don't want to. Or you can build something that's themed for your army, or you can build scattered terrain, or you can watch like a terrain tutorial on YouTube on how to make a tree out of wires that you rip from your neighbor's wall or something. I'm not sure. Probably don't do the last part of that, but watch terrain tutorials because they're great, and that's where I learned how to make wire trees, basically.
Yeah.
So we're gonna introduce, that mentioned in the earlier here, another challenge. And this is Jimmy's pet challenge, actually.
Oh, yes.
But if you don't have the information you wrote down in front of you, I can read
I
it.
don't have it in front of me.
No. So, do you want to mention what the challenge is? Because people probably know.
Most likely. It's what I think is necessary for all armies.
At least
7th
8th edition.
Yeah, and 7th edition. But I think is necessary for other reasons, and that's the battle standard bearer. So, Chris, go on and read it.
Yeah, the Battle Standard Bearer Challenge is any self-respecting general has his personal standard displaying the livery of his army carried by a veteran of war. Many of these standards and banners have seen countless battlefields, and often they have been enchanted by wizards and sorcerers to aid in battle. The challenge will run for 2 months, so remember to manage your project time accordingly. Requirements: build and paint a battle standard bearer from your army book and edition of choice. This includes weapon selection, mounts, and any other options that can be chosen by this character. The model needs to be fully based and painted to be accepted. Conversions are heavily encouraged but not mandatory. Bonus challenge: represent an actual magic standard from your chosen army book by painting or convert it so it is as close to the given background text as possible. Question: my army don't have the option for Battle Standard Bearer. What do I do? Answer: paint a standard bearer of the outmost elite of the elite available to the army. Photos of project at start and finish project are required. So that's the challenge. And
Yeah.
did we say it should begin on the 15th and run for 2 months?
Yeah, I think we said that.
Then it's settled. It's going to
Yeah.
start on the 15th of May and end on the 15th of July. And this is so it doesn't really conflict with the start and end dates on our monthly challenges. And yeah, just wish people good luck.
Yes.
Excellent. Yeah. That is a good excuse to finally get that limited edition Dwarf Standard Bearer.
Oh.
And if you complete this and we deem it to be the best Battle Standard Bearer, you will win Jimmy.
Yay, I'll finally have a home.
Yeah, I haven't talked with you about this, but I've decided that we should just raffle you out.
Fine
Seems
by
fair to
me.
me.
Yeah.
Well, but we this is basically run in the spirit of the Lord and Hero Conversion Challenge. So if people are actually participating and finishing, there might be a prize included if you are deemed the best. But should we do it to maybe a community vote this time?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
So that's what you need to do. Full details will be going up as a flyer, something, whatever you will call it, on Facebook and Instagram as well, closer or right on the 15th. And this episode will be released before that, so you will have heard that all of it is.
Great.
Yeah. So that's probably all there is for the intro.
I actually want to do a shout out for a new podcast.
Oh, right. The 5th edition podcast.
Yes. There's a new podcast that just got released this week. Or no, last week. It's a Crown of Command podcast. They're available on Spotify, and I think they had some other site as well.
Yeah, they're available on most of the podcasting apps because they're I've checked. They're available on the podcasting app, and they will be linked in the show notes on this episode as well.
They also
to make it easier to
they
find
also
them.
have a YouTube site, and there's interviews there, some painting tutorials. some Manowar stuff. So they're gonna cover like everything from the Warhammer in the 90s. So it's gonna be Warhammer Second Edition, Warhammer 40k Second Edition, 4th and 5th edition, mostly 5th edition Hero Hammer. Some Epic. I think they're gonna have some Manowar. So and most likely the old Necromunda and maybe Mordheim because it was released in the 90s at the end. We'll see about that.
Nice.
Yes, that was why there was a 20-year celebration last year.
Yeah,
So.
exactly.
And speaking of YouTube, we actually have a YouTube channel. If anyone knew, there's pretty much nothing on it. All of the episodes will go up on YouTube just because that's a good way to have other people that for some reason haven't noticed that where you can listen to us. I'm not sure, but we're also gonna try to upload other stuff. Like if anyone ever managed to video when we're playing or when we're hobbying or whatever, it will go up on the YouTube sometime eventually. So if anyone has any suggestion on content that we could put up on the YouTube, just send it in to us because we would like to also produce content that you would actually
There'll just be
want to
videos
watch.
of Jimmy hobby shaming Krell.
It's gonna be me
like
playing a lot of Mordheim.
Yeah.
That's gonna be it.
Yeah, but that could be a good thing. Maybe we could do more time videos, or maybe we could do stuff that we try to explain in episodes talking. We could just do a 15-second video and just show this is it.
We can have
as I said-
reaction videos
Yeah.
looking at
We have
Krell how he reacts to things, like LSD.
Yes, we're gonna. Yeah, well, the chat of what we're gonna do with Krell is probably taken off air, so there's no records of it. So, Niklas, would you like to lead us into the main segment of this episode?
Yeah, so in this segment, me and Krell are having a chat about Beastmen as a follow-up to our other Chaos Talk of Warriors and the Demons chat you guys had. So this will be the third, but probably not the final installment of Demons, or Chaos. I mean, Chaos is such a nice and diverse topic, so I bet we'll find something else to talk about with Chaos. But yeah, Beastmen, here we go.
Brother, spoke the four as one, together we shall rule, surrender to the darkness within your heart you know holds true. In his hand the sword of Cain did promise power untold, as god of light and god of murder battled for his soul. One by one the demons fell. An elf lord he stood tall. For should he fail upon his task then mortal world would fall. Upon the isle beneath the fight, wise mages cast their spells. And daemon minions howled in anguish, cursed to eternal hell. And on this day we bow our heads to he who world did save, Enarion the proud defender, Enarion the ever brave.
And welcome back to the much belated Beastmen episode. You've got me, Krell, and of course my esteemable, knowledgeable Kislev Horsemaster named
Niklas. Hello everyone, and welcome to this take 2 of the Beastmen thingeling.
Fingerling. Yes, the official name of Hearthstone, the Fingerling.
It's long overdue, but this is the time that we had to record it. And in the meantime, we did the High Elf episode. And also in the meantime, as I said, in that episode, 2 owl babies have grown up. I will post a picture of that. Because they're beasts, right?
I guess. I mean, they're basically half a Praeden. Just feed them some random beast blood and like defile a shrine to Isha and you're good to go, man. Basically a beast.
Are there any... No, just going straight off topic, the first thing I do, but are there any like flying beastmen? Just like beastmen that have wings?
Well, I mean, harpies are beasts of chaos. If you look to the Monsters Arcanum, which is an 8th edition and thusly anathema to our very existence, you do have the Praeten. The Praeten is it's in my army, you know, like the strange winged elk thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
basically,
just thinking because Games Workshop just focus so hard on the goats that, but like in all the books, the beastmen are just all kinds of creatures, mutated things. So like I bet like some humans would just evolve into some kind of owl monstrosity and just flap around in the forest and attack random merchants.
Yeah, like the worst version or incarnation of Mothman ever.
Yeah.
Don't go into this forest. It's the home to the notorious owl beast.
Oh,
Hoot,
man.
Hoot, hoot, hoot.
All right. So before I begin, I want to share an analysis that I made of our podcast. If we were the Scooby-Doo team, then you and me would be Scooby and Shaggy.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you this with great reputation. Who the fuck would be Shaggy out of us?
I am Shaggy, and you're Scooby, for sure.
Ruh-roh, Niklas.
And Chris would be Wilma, smart person that actually does all the work. And Jimmy...
And for some reason, like the tremendous fetish bait of all the nerds who ever grew up in the 80s. Everybody wants to hook up with Daphne, but everybody wants to settle for Vilma. They're like, well, she looks like a cozy person, doesn't have a lot of standards. That's not Chris. That's just Velma. Also Velma, right? Not Vilma.
Yeah. Jens is Daphne for sure. The hot babe that we bring on sometimes.
So Jimmy's Fred.
Yes. Well,
Jimmy's our leader.
He's the Fred of Instagram.
Oh yeah, okay, that's true. That's true. Fucking Chad Jimmy.
Yeah. Chad Mordheim Fred.
You should have that on Instagram. Chad Mordheim Fred.
All right, that was my Scooby-Doo analysis. So let's get on with our Beastmen thing. We're doing it, I don't know, I feel like doing it more loosely now because we already done it. We're pros.
We already did this. I just want to tell everybody who's listening to this that the initial Beastmen episode was one of those few times that me and Niklas actually hung up after 1.5 hours and went, you know what? I feel really good about that. Let's close here, because we closed literally each and every point of my notes. And you're like, yeah, no, feels good. This will not be that episode.
This is just a tribute.
Yes. This is more like freeform, like improvising.
All right, but seriously, Beastmen, what are they?
The Beastmen, the darkest taint of chaos that lures within each and every one of us. So, I mean, I guess we'll just start on the origins of the Beastmen. And the fascinating thing is Beastmen is one of those races whose fluff has just naturally progressed from the earlier to later editions. Wow, this feels familiar, Niklas. The very first analysis of the origin of the Beastmen says that basically that when the polar gateway collapsed, there was a plague of chaos that spread from the northern ends, spreading in undulating waves, striking each living man until beast became man and man became beast. In some forms, they literally merged into two giant flesh puddles and became one. The second version of the Beastmen, which is more insidious, and I'll come to the analysis in a couple of minutes because everybody loves to hear me ramble, is that the taint of chaos lies hidden within men and beasts for sometimes years without reckoning. Meaning that anyone can sort of spontaneously mutate. It could start harmless, as we all know. An extra toe, double fingernail, anything. And then suddenly, like, you get horns and you want to run through the forest and destroy all of civilization. Now, the contradicting ideas herein, of course, come from both the medieval perception of the innate taint and immaculate conception and the origin of sin. In the second version of the Beastmen origin, like it could lure beneath the surface, you have very strong, not only Jungian, but also Catholic vibes. Basically, that within each man lures a beast, and you don't know when, why, or how. So if you go into like Warhammer Fantasy role-playing game, second edition and first edition, I believe, but I'm more acquainted with second edition, there's a very detailed part, which I told in the last time I recorded this, about a man going into a forest, and he feels shame and sort of anger, but he knows that what he's doing must be done. And he's just carrying this beautiful bundle of a baby boy into the forest. And then it turns out, as he's dropping it off into some bushes, as the canopy of the forest closes around him and he runs away, that the perfectly shaped baby boy has two small nubs in his forehead. Or it might just be something innocuous, like an extra toe. And out of the bushworks literally comes a gore and picks up the child and brings it back. And of course, in this second version, basically the taint of chaos lures within each man. And the potential of it is, well, innate. It could strike at any time in any way. Maybe your neighbor has like a mouth beneath his shirt, like in the books I read. What's the name? You know, this like vampire kung fu lady in Warhammer by Kim Neville.
I've not read it.
Yeah. Anyway, they have like a playwright who's successfully hidden his deformity for years, but it turns out he has a second mouth on his stomach. And sometimes it's really obvious stuff like that, but it could be smaller, like easier stuff. Maybe you have double eyelashes or being left-handed. The immediate misunderstanding.
It just seems like I just want to touch on this stuff with like people leaving their slightly mutated children in the forest. That's a very like Empire thing to do, and there's a lot of mutation going on in the Empire, and that's just the norm that they would just leave them outside. Not a lot of people would just kill their babies because it's still their babies, but in Kislev they do kill their babies.
Yeah, well, at the Stupa Kislev.
Because I don't know, they're so close to chaos that they're so used to being invaded by them that they don't take chances. I don't know what it's like
in the luxury of ignorance in Kislev, right? I mean, in Empire, it could be like, oh, we haven't had a chaos invasion of D parts for a long time, but Kislev knows what's up. Like, it happens to them on a regular basis that chaos just fucking romps on through and fucks shit up.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what it's like in the other human civilizations, like Bretonia. Maybe because they're further away from the chaos waste, they don't have as many mutations.
Well, it's strange because, Athaloran has a huge Beastmen problem. Not only like in the Warhammer Total War games, but also like in reality. It's usually where they accumulate and then gather up a really big ward and expand into the rest of the vampires. So you're right. That's pretty interesting. I assume, seeing how like Bretonia progressed from 5th to 6th edition, from like, a noble bright King Arthur setting to a more like dystopian Dung Ages setting, I think that any slightest taint of chaos, you just kill your kid. Or like the local lord swims on through and just, that baby bears the taint of chaos, decapitation.
Maybe like the nobles are protected by the lady somehow, and the chaos mutations just kind of go on through the peasant ranks, but like they are just malformed, so no one can really see the difference. And maybe it's just too far south for it to really make a difference. And they don't leave them out in the forest to become part of the herds and actually cause a problem. They just carry on with their life, I guess, as peasant slaves.
Well, I mean, it's something like, if we go into the historical context of that part, something that we tend to call historically the dreadful asymmetry, which is true for animal kingdoms as well, that if you live in the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, like the early industrial, you're not going to have enough food to feed an entire family. So either you have your 3 kids and all of you starve potentially to death, or you leave one of your children like a working house or an orphanage or out in a forest. They still have a vague chance to survive, so you're not actually killing them, which is very hard for human psyche, since, kids are cute for us to want to protect them. But it is one thing less for your family, your immediate family, the children you've grown to know, to think about, right? So, sorry to say, that's one of the things that has a vague, horrible historical context.
Yeah.
Depressing.
I don't know what to respond to that.
Welcome to 6th edition, motherfuckers.
It is grim. It is dark. It is Warhammer.
It's grim. But also, like, with the taint of chaos, what we have to remember is that magic is exceedingly rare, and it's a double-sided coins. The winds of magic are fickle, and Reynald is not a kind master. You shouldn't really rely on luck when it comes to magic. There's a reason to why there are schools of magic in the Empire. I mean, the High Elves left very structured paths to take. And there's a good damn cause for that. I mean, the taint of chaos is real. Now, it
took them long enough.
Yeah. Could we maybe speculate that, like, in the bigger city, the rise of chaos babies is linked to the abhorrent rumors of ratmen? I don't know. I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy saying what I heard down by the pub. My buddy Big Jim saw a ratman running the street, and the government picked him up. I don't know what I'm going to say. Like, keep safe, people. Keep safe. No, but joking aside, I think that the immediate spread of like Warpstone and the Skaven Taint is most probably connected directly to the fact that there are more chaos babies, and the Warherd is concentrated chaos. It's the first children of chaos, even from way back, like in the initial chaos books. It's very clear that these are from chaos made, and they propagate chaos as well. They're mere beings in a front to nature, and this also ties into their hatred of civilization, such as it is.
Yeah, that is also an interesting point, because I know you have talked a lot about this, like it's changed throughout the editions, like their hatred of civilization and also how civilized these guys actually are.
Yeah, I find it like confoundingly interesting, and I can't really put my finger on why. If you go way back, like to the Hordes of Chaos book from 2002, which I'm holding in my hands right now, and then you move over to like the Beasts of Chaos from 2003, and then you go all the way over to the dreaded 7th edition, which is just called, Beastmen. They, fascinating enough, they actually regress in technological ability. In the 2002 books, they're not covered as well, but in the 2003 book, in the 2003 book, it's very clear that like the lower stratification of Beastmen society, they can fletch arrows. They can basically reconstitute armor from their fallen enemies. They do light smithing, not in the sense that you and I have, but basic bronze working, iron working. They can't smelt.
They probably do it better than you and I.
Whoa, buddy. Innately, you and I are better than any sort of beast. Well, I am. You voluntarily moved to England. So, one of us. These hands are made to create. No, but the thing is that Ungors, like the lowest part of Beastman society, is capable of forging or reconstituting. And that's how they get their technology. Now, if you go to the 7th edition, they hate society to such a tremendous extent that the mere thought of fletching an arrow or like mending armor is anathema to them, as it represents. That's odd, as you and I discussed, because they do have Ungor skirmishers. They do have arrow cavalry. They have centigors. Are you telling me that these people are just riding around picking up their old arrows? Like, I get the fact that they can't forge or enchant or imbue with magical power, so they're not going to like create Ungral armor or even warp tainted armor. They take the choice bits and they leave it at a beast stone, and then the war gores and like the beast lords and the gore men, they choose the best parts. But
yeah, it's very interesting how their intelligence changes just depending on what book. It's just different in all of the different books. Like, and also the novels. Like one book that I read, some guys came across some Beastmen, and then they were just totally degenerate madmen or beasts. They just attacked them as soon as they could. And then in one of the Gotthard and Felix books, they were walking through like a forest, and then some beastmen were stalking them, and then like they confronted the beastmen, and the beastmen like started talking to them, and they're like, "Do you think we're stupid? Do you think we're gonna attack you with that crazy Slayer dwarf that you have with you? He's just gonna kill us all." And this is also some guy that had like a dog's head, and he was like, "Come on, seagull man, let's get out of here."
Come on, bat dude and seagull man, we don't need to be treated like this, insulting our intelligence. No, I mean, it's very true. And we could put it down to just creative differences between the authors, because it's like we discussed before with the Skaven. The Skaven are conniving, backstabbing assholes, but are they all dumb except for Fanqual? I mean, the society would suggest otherwise. You can't just continue to fuck people over without having some thought on who to fuck tomorrow. It's the same with the Beastmen. And I think the aggravating part of me is it doesn't even have with intelligence, because the shamans are innately magical, but the beast lords, like the chieftains and captains, they have accrued a sort of like crass intelligence, the ability to, as you say, plan ambushes, arrange, like they don't just throw themselves into teeth of the enemy. If they see a fortified bastion, they're not just gonna look, hey, look, we're gonna fuck it up and run like straight for the arrow slits and the cannon holes. They know how to arrange a siege. It's just their immediate dislike for forging armor tends to be aggravated. And I get, in a sense, why they did it. They want to enhance the immediate differentiation between the beasts and the warriors. And the warriors are, you know, noble warriors of chaos descending down from the wastes to reave and rage and other R words, which are horrific. And we don't talk about it anymore because of, you know, me too. But then you have the beasts, and the beasts are supposed to be the raw animalistic drive of chaos, where the chaos warriors are mailed fist of cunning, honor, and warmanship and warmongering. The beasts are supposed to be an uncouth herd of warriors descending. If you compare them to the Celts, the base fact is that they are immediately based on the disdain of civilization that most of the Romans considered the barbarian tribes possess. And that is, of course, where we find the niche origin of the Beastmen. At least, you know, as far as inspiration as I can see. They have the herdstones, of course. They have the body tattoos, sometimes in the older editions with blue woad, which has to do with the Celts, not the Gaelic Celts, just the Celts. And immediate warmanship and seeming like strike and fade tactics that they imply are very similar to initial accounts of the attack on Britons that Caesar did. So I get why they did it, but like you say, it tends to very much vary from book to book. In some books, they're capable of arranging ambushes, planning, even having a sort of crude logistical plan. And in other books, they are very clearly just there to be mowed down by the heroes.
Yeah, we talked about this in the previous time we tried to record this. But like they are supposed to be like the ever-present threat of the what's it called? The people that lived there before, the indigenous
population.
Yeah. While like the orcs are supposed to be the foreign barbarians. Yeah. These are the barbarians that already lived there before you moved in.
Yeah, I'm going to say that if chaos is the enemy ever present at the gates of civilization, then Beastmen are very much the canker at the heart of it. It rots from within, and it's not unheard of, actually, for Beastmen herds to appear in the middle of the empire and strike outwards, as opposed to orcs who always come from the outskirts and the edges.
Yeah, and it's interesting in the Empire book that their their cities are described as like beacons of civilizations in the night, because they are just surrounded by these massive forests that could and probably have massive beastmen herds in it, and then these kind of spring up from time to time. They have to go out in the forest and try and clear them, and then that's why they have so many road wardens as well, just keeping the road safe between these cities. But like everywhere else, there's just shit that you don't want to mess with.
No, I
By
mean,
the
it's sort
nine divine, stay on the roads.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of the eternal conundrum of civilization, right? A city can only house so many people, unless you're like Paris in the 1800s and not allowed to sell outside of walls. You can only have so many people in a city before a group of them goes to the countryside to make a living or live. And sooner or later, since the empire has enchanted the huge forests that encroach from all sides of it, you're all going to try and live on the outskirts. You know, there's lumber. There's poaching. There is the ability to actually make a new life in the untapped wilderness. And the rulers of the empire do encourage this. Many of the lords who carry their rune fangs to battle do want their citizens to settle new areas and, basically create new tenants and taxpayers. The problem is, like you said, there are people in these forests who do not necessarily share those views, and thus they come to differences. For today's simplification, I think maybe we should have mentioned it before, we're only going to talk about the 2003 Beasts of Chaos book.
The one that goes together with the what's that one called?
Warriors of Chaos?
Hordes of Chaos.
Yeah, Hordes of Chaos is the sort of joint book. In Hordes of Chaos, like you guys and Jimmy and you've talked about, is that if you have a Beastman Lord, Beastmen units are core choices. Ditto if you have a Chaos Lord, a Chaos Warrior Lord, then Chaos
just
Warriors.
Your general. So you
exactly.
can have a hero as well.
Yeah. Very, very easy and great concept to be applied.
Yeah.
So today we talk about it. And when it comes to civilization, and you made a good point I should have picked up on earlier, the very existence of civilization isn't just anathema. It's the proverbial red cloth that provokes and unifies all of beastmen. They hate the unification of human tribes and civilization with a burning passion. In one of the earlier books, it's even explicitly defined that they can't explain exactly what it is, but it drives them to war and anger. So you could also make the parallel that the beastmen are the natural defense system of the old world to make sure that humanity doesn't, sort of grow too large. In the same sense that the dark elves are nothing more than a hygienic force keeping the high elf population in check.
Yeah, they're also just like the purest servants of chaos.
Yeah.
Like all they want is what chaos wants. They don't really care about power, really. I mean, they care about power as much as any animal would, but they don't have any grand ambitions like a warrior of chaos that has been corrupted by chaos. He wasn't like a follower of chaos at first, but then he was promised something, and he's doing it for his own greed, while most beastmen of chaos just do it because they don't know why. They just want to.
They serve chaos for the dark fate's furtherance rather than power for power's sake.
Yeah.
So basically, another thing to remember is that a beastman is usually seen as a perfect embodiment of chaos itself. So they don't seek out further gifts of chaos, and they're actually barred from it in the earlier editions. A beastman is perfect in and of himself, basically, as far as chaos is concerned. He doesn't need gifts from chaos because he has already been bequeathed what is his lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, suck it, everyone else. All servants of chaos are equal. It's just that some are a bit more equal than others.
So, do you want to touch a bit on the models? We mentioned this, though, that like in the books, beastmen are described as being any kind of animal just fused with a human, like Seagull Man and Dogface. But Games Workshop went for goatmen.
Yep. Classic pagan satanistic images, from the Shatan, and the application of Middle Eastern bull-headed man. The fact that man himself is the greatest beast. So, I mean, it's classic mythology. You have like Pan ideas and stuff like that. I know a lot of us have like expressed sadness and disdain because in the earlier editions, I remember when I was a kid, they talked about making like beastmen out of different animals, and Tiger Warriors of Ind is such a alluring prospect. I can't even tell you about it. You can even have like Arakshaza from Hindu mythology, a badass tiger demon man. I don't know why I descended in Swedish, tiger. A sort of tiger king, if you wish. God damn it, Carol Baskets. And the thing is, they're all goatmen, or like they have goat-like attributes in the case of the Ungors.
Yeah, I think another point of that is just ease of manufacturing.
Yeah, definitely.
They could have just done like different heads, I guess. But
yeah, I suppose.
just to keep it as a unified force, I guess. Just to
But
keep
you
it
still have the
simple was
hooves.
better.
Like the initial
That's
cast,
true.
I don't know if you remember, but the entire head, the body and the legs were just one solid piece.
Yeah.
And then you could swap out the arms and heads. In 7th edition, that was still the case, but the horns were a separate part that you put on the head, so you could adapt them. Which, as far as I'm concerned, made it way easier to convert, which I appreciate. Because I don't know if you've seen my ward, the guy who like gave an eye patch and a double set of horns.
I don't know. Maybe. You probably showed me a long time ago, and I don't remember it.
You probably showed me, I probably lied, it looked good, and I don't want to have this again. I'm like a child to you guys. You're like, yes, very good, Chris.
I'm just sitting here thinking like how they could make a multi-part Beastmen with like one set of legs that's just like hooves, one that's just regular feet, one is like webbed feet, and just like combining all kinds of different stuff, and it would just look like a really shitty Empire Militia kit.
That would be really cool. And then you wouldn't even have to have separate kits for the Gores and the Ungors, because you could just make them like one.
Yeah, that kit would be worth so much right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Gore kit, like the Empire Free Militia, they go for like ridiculous amounts of money now. What is it, like 40 quid a box?
Yeah, so imagine if you had one bit in there, this is just like webbed feet.
Shit, yeah. I would buy that. Buy the fuck out of that. But then again, I mean, the fortunes of plenty of other miniature game manufacturers' armies would not be made because, as we know, there are companies who just went in and said, GW never made a fancy model for that, and then built their entire business franchise on.
Yeah.
So, Niklas, do you have any favorite Beastmen unit?
I think the chariots are very iconic, and just speaks to the Celtic or like British, and what are they even called? The blue painted people. Are they just called Celts? Or are they
Celts.
called Britons?
It depends. The Bretonians classically are the people who were English before the Dane law applied. The Celts are the biggest population further up north.
Were the Picts? Are they their own thing? Are they also Celtic? Or
Pictish warriors are sort of Celtish, and if I'm wrong, feel free to write in and correct me. But being a Pict, you wouldn't know how to pick up a computer anyway, so come at me.
Yeah, but I really like the chariots. And that's also a thing that they have to build. Who builds the chariots?
Yeah, see, it doesn't hold up.
Maybe there is like sleds in later editions. They don't know how to put on wheels. They don't know what a wheel is. They hate wheels.
We need new chariot. I go to chariot tree, pick the ripest fruit, put in water. We have chariot. No, I don't fucking know, man. It's a legitimate fucking mystery.
Yeah, but they're cool. I like the chariot. And the character in the chariot was always one of the coolest Beastmen models, I think, whenever I look through a catalog, circa 2000.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, do you mean the guy holding up a decapitated head?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm going to need Jimmy's feedback on this, but I wonder if, do you remember in Mordheim, they had a specialized Beastman gang?
Yes.
One of them looks very familiar to this guy because one of the Beastmen guys in Mordheim was a guy holding up a decapitated head, but I think he held the axe at a different angle.
Maybe just repurpose the sculpt.
One of the great things with these chariots is that the items pulling them are actually visually distinct from like the orc chariots, but they only swap the heads because the chariots, the Razor Gores, which are mutated sort of, I guess, mount pulling their chariots, has like horns coming out of his forehead, nostril, even in front of the head. So you can clearly see a distinction between the Taint of Chaos and like just your generic orc boarman.
Yeah,
and I appreciate that. The humble chariot. The foundation.
What's your favorite model then?
Actually, and maybe it's a controversial hot take, I'm gonna take one of the units that was actually removed in later editions. I'm gonna say the noble, humble Chaos Trolls.
The Trolls?
Yeah, the Chaos Trolls. It's one of the units that was actually removed and later on given to Chaos. Just the fact that one of them has like a mutated face coming out of his rotting stomach, while still having like cancerous growths coming out of his armpit and shoulders. Another one just has like vines coming out of everywhere, and a third guy just has a head mutated with axes.
Did they release any Chaos Ogres? The Beast of Chaos?
That's a great question. There are Chaos Ogres models, but I think there's an upgrade kit because one of them was basically an additional head, and you got like
now I remember them. Yeah, there were models. One of them was like a Cyclops, right?
Yes, Cyclops, and then a guy had like a super huge head. They were more heavily armored than a classical ogre character.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things you have to remember, that when they switched from Beasts of Chaos to Beastmen, they robbed it of a lot of its characters. Gone were the halcyon days when you could take like marks and upgrade your Minotaur to a level 3 magician or caster. You can no longer have like the dragon ogres, which has always upset me because the dragon ogres are a subset and they're like one of the most ancient species of the old world. They wouldn't really be chaos warriors; they would be beasts, and also, of course, like the chaos trolls.
Shaggoth.
Yeah, the Shaggoth.
Trolls and ogres. What else?
And more egregiously, marks of chaos for your beastmen.
Yeah.
In later editions, you couldn't take marks of chaos for your beastmen, which to me is just insanity. Sheer and utter insanity.
Yeah, it didn't matter that much in 6th edition as well, where the different units were, because you could just combine all of them anyway. If they were rare choice or special choice, it didn't matter if you use them with your Warriors of Chaos. But like the fact that they removed all of them, and also you couldn't combine the Chaos books anymore, made it all harsher for the Beastmen.
Yeah, the thing was with the Beastmen was it was never... In later editions, I've tried playing them. I know you don't like them, that's fair. But it's hard to play the Beastmen later editions because they were robbed of a lot of their heavy hitters. You still have Minotaurs, but anyway, if you want to hear about the Beastmen in 7th to 8th edition, we recommend our sistercast, The Elector Counts. Good, even if you can't do math. I'm talking about you, Rennie. You can't do math. Come at me.
They did a great Beastmen, several episodes.
So.
Very in-depth. About what is good in a list and what is bad.
Yeah, I mean, they had Renee, but they also had Tim and DTA. Go DTA. And Tim. No, just kidding. Check it out. One that was very in-depth, both on the lore as well as the units and how to play the game, because it's one of the more finicky and technically difficult armies.
Yeah, they didn't get an 8th edition book, did they?
No, only 7th edition.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I think they might even have removed Spawns of Chaos. Because in 6th edition, you can remember, Spawns of Chaos, they have separate ones. You can have like the Beast of Chaos, the Fiends of Slanesh, and the Fireroom Siege, which is hilariously a Spawn of Chaos with a flamer attack.
Yeah, I have seen that used. It is, it's great.
You sound traumatized.
Oh, it's just so good because like it's got a random movement, and if you charge something, that's great. If you don't charge something, you can flame them.
But yeah, did he model them as like specialized beast spawns?
I think they're just like blue spawns.
Boo. He has to have like a flame shaped like nozzle.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know. He should show up with like, these are my black painted Space Marines. They're obviously Iron Hands or Raven Guard. No, Niklas. He needs to like handcraft, or in my case, pay Jimmy. Sorry about that. So, that being said, we're going to go through the basic structure of a warherd. Just quickly in passing. A warherd is the default calling of like a group of beastmen. Just like, do you know what a group of crows is called?
A murder?
It is a murder of crows. Good indeed. Your education in the way of English has progressed far. Your knowledge is now surpassed mine. I bestow upon the title of wordsmith extraordinaire. Go.
Do you know what a group of killer whales is called?
I'm going to say a shav. A shav of whales.
You disappoint me once again. Called a pod.
A pod?
Yes, it's like us.
Well, they do cast water into the air. So I suppose me not knowing that would make me a cascade of a failure. Nothing? Well, when you have your first kid, you're going to love these dad jokes, Niklas. You don't even want to, and you hate yourself for doing it, but you love it.
Carry on.
Do I have to keep calm?
No.
Good. I also have great difficulty with that. So we're going to go through the basic structure. A ward basically is a group of beastmen. They're called together by a especially charismatic founder of the gang. You're always going to have, like, even at basic levels, a Gore that is aspiring to greatness. And he will be, well, I suppose on those levels, he would just be a beast lord. A beast lord is a man of charisma and ability who basically keeps the entire gang together through nothing more than sheer force of will. The beastman lord draws lesser beings to him, and they serve him. There's sort of like alpha pack mentality, whereupon a beast lord will know who's the strongest and he'll fight it out. And whenever two gangs meet up, a beastman, even if it's out in the forest, they'll always fight for supremacy and then join the stronger leader's army.
Sometimes they just interlock horns and just die in the forest.
Definitely. And I mean, if a beast lord is usurped in his position by another beast lord, that now will not only take over, but some of the existing beastmen might leave and start their rival hordes. And thusly comes the innate danger of a beast lord. You never really know when they give up, because they don't usually do that. Just below the beast lord, you will have the war gore. The war gore are his grizzled elite, his hardened veterans. They get the finest pick of the spoil from the beast stone, or the herd stone, sorry. And they choose what they have, which quintessentially in this edition actually translates to have a choice. In later editions, they have like heavy arm, I think 2 hands or hand weapons. In this one, the war gores can be equipped quite greatly. Any Wargore may take either great weapons, hand weapons, shield, light or heavy armor. And a Wargore is, it's either character. Wait, am I mistaken? It would seem that I am. A Wargore is just a lower sort of hero. Well, egg on my face, Nicholas.
Well, what else would it be?
Well, because in later editions, a Wargore is actually an elite choice. So you can either have like a war as a hero or a group of veterans.
Isn't that just the Bestigors?
Yeah, it should be, but it's so strange. I'm trying to find it. This is very embarrassing. This didn't happen the first time we did it. This never happens to me, I swear. Yeah, no, sorry, the Bestigor herd. The war is just beneath a beast lord in stature, like a lower hero, but his loyal servants and lieutenants will be the Bestigors. The Bestigors can have Marks of Chaos and just carry a magic standard up to 50 points. Basically, up-jumped classic badass veterans. Strength 4, toughness 4. In this edition, what you need to remember is that all intents and purpose, the Gore and the Ungor. And basically, if you don't know the difference, if they have a pot belly and puny horns, they are an Ungor. They are the lowest. They are the Omegas in the pack. They do the crafting, this edition, as well as whatever duties they have. They eat last at the feasts, and they pick out the plunder and the spoils when all others have tired. They're actually even beneath the Warhounds in appreciation. Because the Warhounds...
And also, I've read in some explanations of the Beastmen that these guys are often comprised of the children that have been left out in the forest that get mutated into Beastmen and are not born Beastmen.
Or, amusingly enough, in this edition, people who escape the confines of society to join Chaos, sometimes just by the mere presence of Beastmen, mutate and regress into Ungors.
Yeah.
So these are the most human-like and thusly the most despised. They feel
Empire. This is why the kids in Empire are taught to eat with the cutlery properly. Because if they don't, they'll turn into an Ungor.
Yeah, it's actually pretty funny. That's literally one of the things that they tell them. If you don't do X and Y, very grim brother story there.
Yeah,
but in this edition,
in this universe,
actually, yeah. Little Red Riding Hood actually happened. Someone in this edition, the Ungors are basically just skirmishers, and the default function of any group of warriors that you have in the Beast Herd, which will be your Ungors and Gors, have to be deployed in a very specific manner. You have a bunch of rules, and I'm not going to them because it takes a lot of time, and I'm really an audiovisual artist, but when it comes to it, you have to have all your Gors in the front and Centaurs or Ungors at the back. So you have to line them up.
Yeah, when they enter combat. So first, they all use run around in skirmish formation, so they can be all over the place and mixed around. Yeah. But then when you charge into something, then you have to rank them up like a normal unit with the Gors in front and the Ungors in the back.
Yep, so you have the command and the Gors in the front. It's actually shown a very hand display on page 19. And the Ungors wind up in the back.
Yeah. And in later editions, they separated these units, and Gors are no longer skirmishers, and the Ungors are just archers.
Yeah, well, actually, in later editions, you can have Ungors either as skirmishers with the bows, or you can have them as like raiders, which means that they just have a spear and shields.
Yeah.
So the thing is to actually field a legal Beastman unit in 6th edition, and this is sort of one of the reasons to why I can't right now, because I don't own any Ungors. You have to have at least 5 Gors and 5 Ungors. There's no actual definition that if you add, say, 1 Gore, you have to add 1 Ungor. You just have to have a minimum of 5 Ungors.
Yeah.
And the Ungors can't have command of any type. The Gors can. They're the meat and potato. But your average Gore will cost you, on general, almost twice as much as an Ungor. If you look at stat line, it's fairly self-explanatory in and of itself. They're weaker. They can take less of a beating. And, well, they're just kind of shitty. They're there to be arrow fodder, basically. But still, as we experience, a flank charge or a rear charge or just march blocking is not to be sneezed at. If you have a bunch of Ungors coming into your end zone and you think they're going to be like easily shifted, you might be wrong.
Yeah, it's really great because you can have these guys with Warriors of Chaos as well. It's great to just have one of these units as a skirmisher unit because they can also fight pretty decently. They can definitely beat up any enemy skirmisher unit.
Yeah, like if you put them next to any sort of humans or human equivalents, or of course, goblins, skeletons, zombies, as long as they're not hampered by their, frankly, miserable and disappointing leadership, they can fight quite well.
Yeah.
But this is also sort of why I said that the Beastmen are not an easy army even in 6th edition, because you will need to make sure that you have someone taking care of them, either by some sort of leadership boost or a banner or a mage.
Yeah.
Still, your Gors, the meat and potato. You've seen them, you've loved them. War gore, best gore, all shapes and forms. War gore for you, for me. Gore. I need to stop. The punning is going to come soon. I can feel it. I can feel it in my bones. Anyway, those are gores. Now, these are not, of course, your only choices. The gore, of course, can drive a chariot, as Niklas said. The actual mainstay of a lot of armies back in the days and even now is to have chariots as your core choices, because just on paper, they're not bad in any way. A chariot comes in at 85 points, and while every core choice only allows you to have like chariot, like a chariot is one core choice. So you could theoretically have 2 chariots and then just bring in heavy models like minotaurs. And if your army is actually led by a Doombull, you can have minotaurs as a core choice. Otherwise, you have, of course, your warhounds. You know them. They're ambushing hounds of chaos, minimum size of 5. I'm going to talk a bit later about it. We discussed it before, me and Niklas, so I feel like I'm rehashing it. But my ideal Beastmen army would be to have like a lot of heavy hitters. Some minotaurs, maybe a shard or 2, chaos trolls, and just being led by a minotaur.
Yeah.
A mage minotaur of Slaanesh or Siege. I think that just the raw lust and the temptation that they symbolize in ancient Hellenistic mythology makes that the minotaurs just exceedingly well suited to being Slaanesh. The raw lust they evoke. Do you deny it, Niklas? Do they not fill you with wonder and merriment?
I mean, when I think of a Minotaur, I think of Khorne, straight up.
Oh, yeah. Cool point. I mean, the early Minotaur casts, one could say a bit ungenerously that the initial Bloodthirster model was just basically a huge Minotaur model.
Yeah, pretty much.
But with wings. The Minotaurs, of course, are a bit interesting because the Minotaurs aren't innately part of any beast's they guard the sacred places, the hearthstones, places of potent magic. They guard it and they accrue treasure. On occasion, they are swayed to join a beast herd, either by the force of presence of a beast lord or merely by the fact that they wish to gain further glory for the hearthstone. And thusly, the Silent Guardians march toward, not silent for a long time, because you see, they still have the blood greed rule, which is very, very clearly that they are cannibalistic in nature. They do consider them different from human, but after winning combat, they have to roll a leadership test to see if they don't just stand around eating the dead, in which case they cause panic to everyone around them. Good rule, except for your own army, of course. Something we haven't really touched on is the sacred nature of the shaman, which also ties into the Celts, because if you look on Celtic mythology, both from Cuchulainn and other parts, the parts of the druidic nature, which has survived quite well thanks to Gary Signet and others clearly highlighting the naturistic need of a druid to lead, not only as a priest, but also as, support backer. A druid is chosen by chaos itself. It's an innate thing that they learn. They don't learn magic, they know it on a genetic level. The best comparison I could come up with last time, I'm going to borrow it again, is basically the brain boys from orcs. They're born with a greatness and they have magic within it.
It's like the Graciers of Skaven.
Yeah, exactly. And they're sort of a weird cast. To kill a shaman is sort of the one taboo you don't break, because they are the path seers, they are the leaders. They get the visions from chaos and they guide it. They can anoint a beast lord, and a conclave of shamans, Bray shamans or greater Bray shamans, has many a time swayed the tides of battle. On paper, basically, he's your wizard choice. He can take magic items as well.
Yeah, so there's a hero level and a lore level of that guy, right?
Yeah, like with most things.
They have a cool staff as well, the Brave staff. They can choose different styles to fight with. And
the great thing with the Brave staff is that the rule for the Brave staff is not covered in any other place than, I'm going to sit here, on the same page 19 where they show how to actually place the unit. You can even use it in one or two ways. The one way is 2+ strength when strikes last, or you can use defensively, in which case it adds +2 to your armor save, but does not give any additional benefits. Seeing as how you usually have only light armor, that's actually pretty neat. That brings you all the way up to like a 4+, and that's pretty respectable.
Yeah, it's
really Add on to that magic armor, talismans, or magic weapons, and you've got yourself a pretty good army. Well, pretty good, character. Now, having covered the, to some, seemingly mundane beast units of the core choices, let us move on to the hallowed specifics of the special units. And it's with some sadness I look at it, because if you look at special units, half of them will disappear in this edition. You have your Chaos Trolls, classic. Cause Fear, regenerates, stupidity, Troll Vomit, Strength 5, Toughness 4, 3 wounds. I mean, I really like them. Have you ever been on the wrong end of a Chaos Troll short, Niklas?
I have not faced any Chaos Trolls, I think. I faced Ogres, Minotaurs, but no Trolls.
I mean, I guess that, in a way, they're a bit more expensive than the Chaos Ogres, and they have regeneration, but seeing as how common flame magic is in 6th edition, because basic like damage spell, you can negate it, and that's pretty much all they have going from differentiating.
I guess people are afraid of the stupidity rule as well.
Yeah, and I get that. They have a leadership 4. It's among the lowest leadership you can actually get even in Beastmen. And the Chaos Ogres can be upgraded and have a banner. The Chaos Ogres, you know them, you love them. It's a basic Dark War choice. The differentiation being that they cause fear, and they're 35 points apiece instead of 40. Still, a good choice all around. Also in there are, of course, the humble Centaur. A Centaur is a cursed beastman who is aware of the anguishes of existence, but is unable to remedy it. They're all crazy drunkards, so man. If you take like the worst parts of Hercules' teacher Chiron, who would at times become so angry at the state of his being that he would drink himself into a stupor and just do the most debased acts ever, you have the Centaurs. They even have a rule showing this, which is called Drunken. And of course, you roll a d3, and you can get from horribly bad rule to pretty decent rules. As a special choice, they fill a pretty clear niche. They are your fast light cavalry.
Yeah.
They move through woods, which is really good because most people have terrain. They have trample. The one thing they don't get is like a boost to their armor save for being mounted, but they do get additional attacks, and they have light armor and spear base. They can also take some shooting, which is pretty much your only shooting except for Chaos One and Magic, and that's of course throwing axes. But hey,
yeah, classic light cav. The thing that I think most people think is a thing, that hounds would be light cav, but they are not. So these guys are nice to have on the flanks.
It's kind of weird because I keep coming back to it, but in the Vampire Count army, the dogs are fast cav.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Are they a core choice or a special choice?
Core.
I don't know. You probably wouldn't take that many though. I think if they were core in Chaos, they would just be hounds all over the place.
Yeah, I think that in 8th edition, I might be wrong because I don't play a lot of Chaos in it. I think they're actually core choice in there. But of course, since they're so cheap, I don't think a lot of people take them because you need to fill up a percent for some reason.
Yeah.
Well, less said the better about those cursed editions, from which no more shall spill between our lips. I beg thee then, we're traveling to turn your eyes to the Minotaur, some would say the superior cousin of the Chaos Troll. Weapon skill 4, ballistic skill. I say ballistic skill with a sort of disdain, because between my Beastmen army and my Vampire Count army, I don't even understand. I played a game last week of 2,000 points of Vampire Counts, and I was like, oh, okay, the shooting phase. Just wake me up when you're done. And then I went and made a pot of coffee. Toughness 4, 3 wounds. Initiative 4, 3 attacks or 4 attacks. And leadership 8 all around. They're very flexible for being a beastman. You can sort of hear me perk up here.
You can also take marks.
Yeah, and light armor and like a sergeant. And of course, like you said, it's entirely feasible to give them the Mark of Core, Mark of Nurgle, Sinch, Mark of Slaanesh. And they also cause fear. Like, I've ordered a bunch. I've been going off so long. I finally got my Mears miniatures Minotaurs. So I need to clean them up and paint them up.
Awesome. They are amazing models.
And then I can have an army without any Encores, which is, of course, unequivocally the dream.
Oh, yeah, so that's the thing. Like, if you take a Doom Bull, you can take Minotaurs as core. Is that the thing?
Yeah, and just imagine having a Doom Bull. And I wish you could make him a wizard somehow, Niklas.
if only.
If only. Oh, what's this? Marks, you say? Anyway, moving on. Rare units. Again, the chivalrous lament of sadness and loss washes over me. We'll lose half of this, but hey, Byzantium lost a bunch of stuff. You never hear them whine. So you have the Dragon Ogres. Most people know what a Dragon Ogre is, but in case you don't, a Dragon Ogre is one of the most ancient races of the Warhammer world.
Yeah, so it's not a guy that fell in love with a dragon. It's the Dragon Ogre. They are their own.
You get to hear like a lot of jokes about that in England. I guess his mom was like really into dragon.
Just like the donkey in Shrek.
Holy shit, it is like the donkey in Shrek. You know that. Holy shit, Niklas. Great, you ruined the Dragon Ogres for me. You're happy. Look at the big man. So Dragon Ogres are actually one of the most esteemed and ancient races of the war. I wish we had Chris and Jimmy here, thinking about the buddies, because they could probably tell me where in the timeline the Dragon Ogres fit in, because I know they're super ancient and old, but I don't know like really when they ruled the world. Was it the age of dragons or?
Well, it must have been before the old ones came, like, because dragons were there before the old ones came, so they were probably there as well.
Yeah, I mean, they must have been. Still.
And they're a really cool unit. They're like a mix between a monster and heavy cavalry.
Yeah. And They have like one of the most niche rules ever. Or is that just, yeah, no, it's Dragon Ogre. The Dragon Ogre have something called Storm Rage, which means that if you shoot a lightning spell at them for some reason, they actually get an invulnerable save from it.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's hilarious.
It's hilarious and it's really fluffy. And it just shows the love that you get in 6th edition. Just the interloping marriage between fluff and crunch.
Do you think anyone has ever done it?
I don't know, like maybe as a joke. Because the thing is, if you look at Skaven, if you hit them with a Warp Lightning Cannon, or like, what's the default spell called? Just Warp Lightning?
Yeah.
Yeah, then they get it. So I think it's a mistake you can't do.
And like Uranian Thunderbolt as well. It's great because it's like an automatic shield against those things. Because like even if you only get a small buff, no one would like to do it. Like, okay, you can damage them, but you will also buff them slightly.
Yeah, and they have movement 7. So like movement 7, strength 5, toughness 4, they are sort of knight equivalent. You do want to shift them. And if you can't shift them with artillery if you're Skaven, I mean, unless you have a Plague Claw Catapult, but who has that? Probably he has everything. Then you have one less tactical option on how to handle them. They will move fast and they hit like a truck. So if you just remove that, it's a beautiful way to just play mind games. Now, if you just want to go all the fucking way and be like, Niklas, I wish I could spend 300 points on a single item. Then look no further. Take the Dragon Ogre Shoggoth, who is one rare choice and one special choice. And he
an
cannot
amazing model to boot.
Yes. And I think we talked about it before. Isn't that the model that become a general? Like in Warriors of Chaos in 8th edition?
Yeah, isn't it a named character?
Yeah, I think so. This is like one of the best sculpts in 6th edition. Just coiled up, rearing, raging against the heavens.
Massive axe.
Yeah. Rising up to reclaim the glories once lost to his dying race. He's great. You could just go the whole way, and you could promote him to a Shoggoth champion. And now he's a lord choice, a rare unit, instead of like a rare and a special choice. And like, it's so great. Like 295 points and just Shoggoth champion. Oh man, he's a normal Shoggoth, but he has the Mark of Chaos for free, and it doesn't cost you any points. And he has causes terror, scale skin 4+, immune psychology, large targets, storm rage, and unit strength of 6. So like, if you charge him into the size of a unit, you could probably shift that unit by himself.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So Niklas, gun to your head, you have to choose Chaos Giant or Dragon Ogre Shoggoth.
Shoggoth.
Yeah, right.
Just didn't even have to think. Shoggoth all the way.
Yeah, right. I mean, sure. Would you ever feel a giant? I mean, you're a Kislev player, but
yeah, it would be fun. I mean, giants are hilarious and they're very Warhammery, so I would definitely feel one. But if I was playing Beastmen and I had the choice, if I had like both of those models, or I just got to pick which one of them I want, Shoggoth every time, no question about it.
So the thing is, you could actually just, if you're Beastman, pay an additional 20 points. And I'd check what it does, but you can give him Mutant Monstrosity special roll. That gives him 5+ skin save. And after rolling to determine the giant's special attack for combat, roll another d6. If the score is equal to the special attack roll, the giant leaps recklessly onto the enemy. The giant's treated as falling down in all respects, with the exception that player controlling him may choose where he falls down. It's like the ultimate suicide mission.
Funny.
And then, of course, you have the Spawn of Chaos. 2d6 movement, d6+1 attacks. It's hilarious. Just do it. You get 2 spawns for a single rare choice. Amazing.
They're pretty good, actually.
Yeah,
I don't know what they're like in later editions, but like the random movement usually gets you about where you need to. It sounds very risky, but like on average, you'll move 6 to 7 inches, and you might move further than that. Giving him Mark of Siege is great. Just being able to flame if you don't make the charge. If you make the charge, that's great. You're a monster in close combat. And it's also just great to have them as a threat. Just like a distraction Carnifex thing. The enemy has to deal with them.
What the fuck's a Carnifex?
A Tyranid Carnifex?
I'm kidding.
Jesus Christ.
Just the stupidity of the question had you stumped there for a while. Do declare. No, I think they definitely they get sort of a bad reputation in fantasy, as well as 40k, because of the random movement and the fact that you rob yourself of choice by taking them. But they definitely have their place. I mean, like you said, all combinations and different variables are viable, but the Siege one stands out. Basically, Siege one makes you shooty, the Slaanesh one makes you extra movie, and the Khorne one makes you foity, right? Proper foity and angry.
And Nurgle, of course, makes you tougher.
Yes, but nobody takes that. Now, turning the pages, I'm struck upon the bounty of the marks of the dark gods. The creatures of chaos are not merely beasts of savage mind and brute strength. Though even if they were, that would be threat enough for a fledgling empire. What makes them yet more dangerous is their place in the fold of the dark powers. Some beastmen are granted by the god they take as their own patron, while others simply revel in the anarchy of chaos in its purest forms. Whichever is the case, the favor given to them unto their gods, the beasts of chaos become 10 times as foul and 10 times as dangerous. Now, characters, task or chariots, and up to 1 unit best score assumed to have the Mark of Chaos divided, which costs 0 points. They can play this Mark of Chaos with a specific Chaos God and additional cost shown next to it. Sorcerer with a Mark of specific God also gain access to God's spell lore, which they must use. Any character you may be given only a single mark. And this is where we go from like the potential of insanity to just the tremendous ability to do whatever you want. Because you could take a Doom Bull and pay 80 points and have a level 2 sorcerer and can cast spells. And going with that, you can have a Regiment of Siege and they create extra power dice. And you can have the Minotaurs of Siege, which generate extra power dice. As someone who played a game last week with 7 power dice per turn, I can tell you it's pretty awesome in 6th edition.
Yeah, I played Minotaur Siege list at a tournament once, my dwarves.
And how was that?
It was one of my greatest games ever. I crushed him.
Well, you're dwarf. Don't you just not give a fuck about magic?
Yeah, I think I had 2 runesmiths as well, just negating his every move.
Are you moving to Hog now, or for that war crime?
But it's a really, really cool list. Having Minotaurs as core, it's really
just like
feels very threatening.
Minotaurs as cores, and then you just like use them as power banks as well, generating extra dice.
Yeah. Stop scraping your bones together, Krell.
Never. Sorry about that. I was trying to
no ligament between your joints anymore.
That's the sound of my knees. You can take the Mark of Corn. Basically, you can give frenzy to your units. Do you know what like the frenzy is, Niklas? Can you help me out here?
Yeah, it's you get another attack for each model, but you also have to charge the closest unit, or if you're in range of something to charge. If you have not already declared a charge, then you have to charge that unit.
Well,
so you become very killy, but you can also easily be distracted.
Yeah.
So you can lead like Chaos Knights with the Mark of Corn astray with some light cavalry and just flee away and then charge them in the flank.
The thing is, you also get apparently an extra spell dice, which ties quite well with this hatred of the sorcerers.
Yeah, so each unit with the Mark of Corn, you get another dispel dice.
Yeah, great. There's also the fact that you could go Mark of Nurgle. I'm just going to speed through Mark of Nurgle and Slaanesh. You get an additional wound, and you potentially cause fear. Your Minotaurs can get a 5+ save, which, it's not to be sneezed at, because 5+ scale skin, light armor, and a shield. Pretty okay.
Yeah. I think that they get that because they already cause fear, so you can't get the regimental bonus.
And Slaanesh, you get immune to psychology. I mean, you've been at a couple of orgies, you've been at orgies, you've seen it. You've seen it all, man.
I've seen some shit, man. This is great for Beastmen, by the way, because they have pretty low leadership. So taking shooting casualties.
Particularly, does that negate stupidity?
I don't know.
Me neither.
Also, I just want to make another joke. When your buddy gets like shot by a cannonball, just go, I've already seen this, I don't care.
The fuck? Fuck you. That's pretty funny though.
But yeah, maybe that, I don't know. Immune to psychology, I don't think that negates your stupidity.
I don't think so either, to be honest, but worth considering, I guess.
Someone fucked his stupid brain out.
I say, Ezekiel, art thou not dumb? I go to orgy. I see man put thing in thing not meant to be. I know no fear. I've seen some shit, man. Then we move on, of course, to Trophies of the Beasts. The thing is, there's a lot of them, so I'm just going to take like 2 or 3 of my favorites. One of the best things is that you can give one of your demonic units the Beasts of Gift, which makes him an unliving idol. That means that the demon counts as a beast general. So you can just, theoretically, for 10 points, you can have a demon as your warlord choice. Yeah. Which, I think that's pretty cool to have a demon as your general, particularly in 6th edition. It can get a bit gamey depending on like the rewards and items you give the demon general, but still it definitely ties into the theme. Slaanesh prince with excess, you're surrounded by idolating beastmen, or like a tremendous warrior of Khorne who doesn't care as long as the blood flows. Or Nurgle, all are united in sickness.
Yes, there's this similar item for Warriors of Chaos heroes as well, but I think they drink from a chalice at the beginning of the game to become demon, and if you roll a 1, you lose a wound.
That's just funny.
Too
You
much
can also-
cocaine.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug. You see, Niklas, before you were born, there's a comedian known as Dave Chappelle, and he was hilarious. Good times. No, kidding aside, things of note is that for 10 points, you can give all your beasts, it even says beasts of chaos characters only, maybe give Bray Shamans. You can have heavy armor, chaos armor, which of course is 4+ save and you can cast spells. Pretty useful on your Bray Shamans.
Yeah,
Then you have
especially
stuff
with that Bray stuff.
Yeah, particularly with that. Like, hey, enjoy your 2+ save, motherfuckers. You can have the Trollhide armor, heavy armor, and regenerate roll. Then you have one of my favorite, the arcane item, and it's for marker only. If you drink the chalice, he suffers an immediate strength 4 hit that ignores armor and ward save, but you can have regeneration. But for the rest of that magic phase, any spell that the shaman casts will be cast with an irresistible force.
That is dope.
That's really fucking dope. Particularly if you have a way of having regeneration, like the pelt of the Trollhide, because it's just a 6+ regeneration save, but still it's pretty okay. You can also have like items that make it particularly hard against arrows, which you're gonna need. Basically, you have stuff in here for your marks, you have stuff in here for your beasts, and you have ways to build the army. I'm not going to go through Gorfor or Gazrak because I've never played with them or Morgur, and they are motherfuckers in the 6th edition. Sorry for swearing, kids. If you listen to this and you disapprove of swearing, please send a mail in, addressed particularly to Niklas and Jimmy, and explain why our crude language offends you. Because if they hit like a motherfucker, sorry about that. I go blue, kids.
So
Swearing
yeah,
is not-
just tell me one of them is the guy in the chariot, and one of them is the mutating guy, right?
Yeah, one of them is basically your dueling land guy, 292 points. I mean, 292 points, why? For the love of God. With him...
Well, at least they counted the points together. Like 5th edition, when they used to say like, here's this guy, 206 points. Here's his sword, 12 points.
6
Here's
points.
his shield.
Yeah.
Here's his underwear.
It's so fun in like 4th edition or 5th edition Undead, because it always winds up an even pointed anyway. Like 298 plus 18 plus 40. What do you know? 350 points. Gorfor has the Scourge, which is great. It's a magical weapon, and you can make 1 attack with it, in addition to your 4 attacks. And if you successfully roll to wound, you immediately roll to wound again, and you just keep doing it. And the extra wounds can only hit like 1 model, but still, I mean, you can just keep rolling wounds in a duel and still get the overkill bonus to combat resolution.
It's happening.
It's hilarious. It's like with the old Blood Angels rule, 5th edition 40k, where the fists, the fist on the Dreadnought just kept doing extra attacks and there's no limit around them, just acting in blender mode. The thing with Khazrak is that all the units with ambush can use your ability instead of just half your unit. And
Did we even mention ambush, how it works? You put half of your units in reserve, they can have ambush, if your general has ambush.
Yeah.
And then you blow the horn and hope that your units come in. Note that they come in on the right place.
Yeah, and I mean, hope and a prayer is what you'll need, because it can go bad really quickly. It's on for a second turn as well, which is supposed to negate the fact you have to walk through arrows. During any chaos after charges have been declared, generally sound the Bray Horn and launch ambush. For each unit waiting in ambush, mark a point on the table edge you wish them to come from. Then make a leadership test for each unit. If they pass it, every Marlin unit comes in. If it's failed, they turn up a random point at the table edge. Roll a scatter dice in the middle with the arrow. I mean, it's a lot more forgiving than later editions, because in later editions, you either come in or you don't. With this, at least you arrive. I mean, it could be way worse.
Yeah.
And also with Khazrak, if you want someone to come in within 12 inches where he came in, they can use his leadership. And we're talking about leadership 8 instead of like leadership 6.
That's very good.
Yeah, also... He has hilarious armor, which is one of those where you have to like start reading like, 2 save, I get it. And it's like, furthermore, Khazrak and any unit he accompanies has magic resistance 1. If he or a unit he is with is targeted with a spell that is successfully cast, Khazrak gains +1 strength for the remainder of the battle. This applies even if the spell is dispelled. Khazrak can gain any number of bonus point strength up to the maximum of 10.
Casual strength 10 guy.
Yeah, and it's just again about magic denial, because you don't want to throw spells at his units, but you do want to get rid of them.
Yeah, that's very good.
Then you have Gorfor the Beach Lord, which I remember like we tended to go on a bit about him. Gortor has a special chariot with a weapon skill 4 driver called Bagrar with 2 attacks, and Gorfor has 4 attacks. He has the Mark of Chaos, and it's a 4+ save instead of 5+ save. Sorry. Gortor's chariot may re-roll all fleeing and pursuit distance rolls. He's beloved by the gods. And where is it there? Gorfer is present on battlefields as 1 dice to the spell pool. In addition, at the start of each magic phase, roll a d6 on death. Gorfer may use the spell roll during a chaos magic spell as a bound spell with a power level equal to casting value of the spell. If Gorfer cannot choose the spell for any reason, the roll is wasted. Also, favorite of chaos. It's basically, you get one more rare unit than you're allowed, which, as far as I know, is like one of the few characters that allow you to directly change the force org for the entire army. Do you know of any?
Not like except for allowing you to take more of some special unit, like the Tsarina allows you to take more than 1 Griffin Legion. I know there are some characters to do that, but not altering the force org itself.
Yeah, then he has like a really wonky spear, which, if any of his 2 hit rolls are doubles, triplets, or quadruples, each of these attacks will wound automatically. So basically, if you roll 3 1s, you hit with all 3 of them. If you roll 2 1s, because he has weapon skill 7, you will hit automatically. It's a super rad mechanic, which you won't see too often, but still, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Also, any strike against Gorfer, like a cannonball, anything with a greater than strength 5 counts only as a strength 5 and can only inflict 1 wound per hit. So it's a chariot, and it's great because you can't just cannonball him out of existence. You have to get rid of those 4 wounds, 1 by 1. And he also has and his ward save equal to the strength for attack that hit him. So strength 3 would have 3 plus ward save. So he'll always get a 5 plus ward save. I mean, it's just amazing, Niklas. It's amazing.
It feels like you would have to have your army book open with that page for the entire battle. There's no way you remember all these rules.
You think that's bad? We have Morgor, Master of Skulls, 378 point, movement 2d6. An army that contains Morgor has no general. Chaos marks for units and additional characters may be chosen freely, as it is chosen by units with marks of chaos. So you can have like Minotaurs with the marks of siege, and also ogres with the marks of corn.
Well, just for free?
Yeah.
All right.
But you can't have any mortal or demon units.
All right.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting like how incredibly funny it is. The enemy must take fear test to move around or into forest or wood. If test is failed, they stop at the edge of the forest. If the unit is already within the forest and fails his fear test, it takes d6 strength free hits. He's also like a semi-spawn, so he'll always engage units exactly the same as as a spawn of chaos. In the Beastmen shooting phase, any unit, including friends, within 8 units of Morgor take a leadership test. If failed, the unit suffers d6 strength 4 hits with no armor save. If 1 or more are cast, then a spawn of chaos is created under control of the Beastmen player. You just have to have like the actual model. So, do you hate your Ungors? Just make spawns out of them.
Yeah, just endlessly generate models on the table. I don't know what to say. Like named characters rarely come up in games of 6. I play with the Tsarina because basically I have no other lords, but yeah. And this is the reason. Fucking hell.
Morgor generates 2 additional dispel dice, Niklas. Like, he also causes terror, and anyone striking in close combat gets a -1 to hit. And if a wizard rolls a double when rolling on a miscast, then unfortunate wizard is instantly turned into chaos spawn and control of the Beastman player. If the wizard was in an enemy unit, follow the same rules described. So yeah, he's a motherfucker. Like, yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
So this is
all fun, but irrelevant. All of these guys are irrelevant to me. Like, how often would you even see this guy? Like, if you play with your friend who loves one of these characters, fine. But they're all just like, oh, super random rules. Oh, this thing is so crazy. Do you know how crazy this thing is? Super crazy. Okay. Good for you.
You're so fucking disdainful. This is like when somebody tries to talk anime to you at a kid. Yeah, bro, what the fuck ever. Get the hell out of here with your made-up bullshit. No, I agree. In 6th edition, you rarely see named characters. But I would argue that for the Beastmen army, the named characters are all good. Like, you can't go wrong with any one of these.
Yeah. Yeah, some characters are definitely like, here's this named character, or better write some rules for him. And then it's like, hero with a magic weapon that does fuck all.
It's a lot like, I need you to put Krell back in Warhammer Fantasy. And they're like, okay, let's see. We made Krell's weapon a generic White Lord item. So I guess we'll give an even crazier cursed axe. And shit. Let's look at the model. Yeah, okay, so he has a horned helmet. Yeah, okay, will I give him a better save? Yeah. And then they just put all the fucking rules into Heinrich Kemmler. It's like, when somebody does their first Dungeons and Dragons character.
That is exactly it. And these guys, on the other hand, are like so characterful that it's almost tiresome to even read the rules.
Yeah, my guy is like an orphan from a village that burned down, which killed his parents. But also, he was like first in his class as a guard captain, and the king took a liking to him. But also like a wandering wizard passing on by had a strange prophecy that only suited him, and also he was born before his parents were killed. I say, went to the martial academy and also did magic. He got like a magic legendary sword, but also like he's super and he can totally talk to Sandra in my class, and he doesn't get afraid of anything like that. That's what the Beastmen characters are like, and I love it.
Excellent.
But you know exactly what I mean, right? When somebody like tries to do the first Dungeons and Dragons character and just go full on wish fulfillment.
Yes, that is what these guys are. Well, that's like what every shaman wants to be. Wants to be that chaos guy.
Yeah. And the thing is, the fun fact about Gorter Skulltaker is that he's just as crazy in 7th edition. I mean, arguably he's even crazier because I think he turns cannonballs, like he ignores shooting within a certain distance. It's just...
Yeah, I think also in 7th edition, it was kind of the same thing as in 6th, that you didn't really have name characters, or you didn't really use them that much. I think that changed in 8th because they put all the name characters stats like in front of the armor list as well. Like they were in the lore section and hero section. Because in 6 and 7 they were in the back of the book as like extra stuff with the alternative armor list.
Hey, Manfred, Zacharias done living. Get the fuck back in the shame section. Aww. Shut the fuck up, Zacharias. You're like 600 on points. You've got unlimited dispel scrolls. You got a 2+ war save. Your model is a fucking challenge and a Gaius to complete. You get the hell back in the back section. I don't know, Kislev, you have like 2, like you have Boris and Katarina.
Yes, but like
I'm
all
sorry,
of Kislev is like a back with the book thing.
No, I'm sorry. You have Elsa from Frozen, and you have generic Russian stereotype number 2.
You leave Oleg alone.
Oh, you mean Vodka Drunkinsky?
Both Ivan and Ivan will be very offended by this.
That was literally the same. Vodka Drunkinsky was actually the original name for one of the boxers in Punch Out.
The more you know, kids.
The more you know. If you don't know what a Punch Out is, man, Niklas will be glad to answer all your questions about Nintendo 8-bit. But like the long and the short of it, there you have Beastmen. At the end of the day, would I recommend playing Beastmen? Yes, hell yeah. The models are really fun to do. Surprisingly, I always hated painting skin and fur, and I got over a bit. Like if you go way back to our like initial episodes, we're talking about who we are and what we're doing, and how me and Niklas snuck off to like go to the retro shop at Lincoln. I got over my hesitancy to do fur pretty early on with all the direwolves I painted. And Beastmen actually helped me get over my hesitancy of painting skin. Because just experimenting with different skin tones and shades goes a long way to fixing that. And also it's surprisingly fun because you can like characterize them. And 6th edition, while not on the hero hammer of earlier editions, still gives you a lot of leeway to create whatever sort of character and army you want. And with the Beastmen book, you have a plethora of different choices. You can hand paint Cinchian war tattoos, which I've seen. You can do like a full-on Carnival of Chaos with the Slaanesh. And there's a lot of different freeform ways to apply the book. And I'd really recommend looking through this. It's great inspiration.
I would really recommend mixing in some Beastmen in your Chaos army if you're just doing a Demons of Chaos or Wars of Chaos, whatever, 6th edition. Just throw in some Beastmen. It's just
oh my God. You're
very
like
thematic to have
it's
just very thematic to have some Beastmen in your army because it's just supposed to be chaos all over the place. Just mix them in.
Chaos United.
And they're great skirmishers as well. Nice to have some guys just running around the flanks when you have heavy hitter, Wars of Chaos, and Knights of Chaos going down the middle.
Yeah, it's kind of easy too to do like Hammer and Anvil, like you say, with Wars of Chaos and the Beastmen.
Yeah.
In some respects, if you play the Beastmen in the way you want, like fast and hard, you can just have like a glass spear. Chariots and the Centaurs just aimed at the heart of the enemy because they're way faster than you'd expect. And the Centaur ability to move through woods might seem like disgustingly simplistic at times, but it can really work out in sometimes because usually you have to go around things. And as we've said, in 6th edition, you can win in the movement phase just by positioning. Now imagine that if you position what might be perceived wrongly as a feint, and then you just run through the fucking forest.
Yeah. Very true. All right, go forth. Destroy civilization.
Go beast and be a man no more. Or as I call them, Beastmen, which is a pun in Swedish. Really, Niklas? Nothing?
Nothing at all. That was your worst dad joke. That's even.
I'm pretty sure it can get worse though.
Let's not risk it.
So
that is
sound
our
the
second
horn.
take of the Beastmen special.
Yes, and I really hope we can publish this one. Chris, don't ruin this one. Don't tell us you couldn't hear it.
But goodbye, everyone.
And a solemn goodbye from me. See you next time. Oh, yeah. And a shout out to the guys at the OSS yard in Stockholm. Here you go. No more High Elf torment for you. Finally, here it is. We re-recorded it. Go forth and beast. They told me they were kind of angry about how they were promised Beastmen and then they got a High Elf special.
Okay.
I blame you, Niklas. Elf lover.
But this is the end of the longest outro ever recorded by Beastman.
See, it's happening to you too.
We're just gonna have to fade this out and play it out to some Celtic.
Yeah, like
war
a
horns.
solemn flute.
Okay, but this is it. I'm clicking the button. Goodbye. Good night.